market again. Let's see what they're selling.
Do you want to tell us what's new in your store?
Well, we've got plenty of beef and lamb and mutton today. All nice and fresh, all grass-fed, no strain at all. And I've got organic pork and organic chicken. Everything is from our own farm.
Okay.
Always happy to talk to people about what we do on the farm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's go and see Graham the cheese man. Let's go. I love cheese. Hey Graham,
Hey you.
what's new in your cheese store?
Don't trust him.
Today
Buy any
we've got some visitors from the northwest.
Hello. Hello. Not
Is
only
this a new
visitors.
blogger? He's going to be a blogger, yeah.
Brilliant.
We've also
That's
got
what we need.
we've also got some of our new blue cheese that we're trying out for the first time today, and we've got something mad. We've got another new cheese we're trying out for today, and that's our Lancashire, and we've infused it with brandy and hay. That's a brand new cheese. It hasn't even got a name yet, so come up with a name for us. Cheers, guys.
Go and see Mike Mazowski. Well, his name is Mike. Hey Mike,
Hello.
do you want to tell us about new stuff in your store?
Not much new, kind of same old. Just excellent coffee, pretty good hot chocolates. Got a new coffee on. It's all a go. What to miss? Kendal Farmers Market. That's about it, really.
Okay, bye. Go to the next person. So what's new in your store today?
Very much. I think you were walking through the same place.
We have some new honey from this year. So this was spun about a week ago. And sorry, we think it's Himalayan balsam because when the bees forage on Himalayan balsam, they get a white back, and we call them a ghost bee because all the pollen from the Himalayan balsam gets on the back. So we know the bees were foraging on Himalayan balsam, but we don't know how much of it is Himalayan balsam. That's why we just call it summer. But it's a really, really nice clear honey, and it's got a lovely taste to it. You can see how clear it is.
Yeah. Sure.
Nice to meet you. I'm Richard. I'm the town guide. So, I've got a grandson called William. So, what would you like to know, William?
Is it fun being a town crier?
It's wonderful. You get to walk through the streets dressed like this. Everybody thinks you're a pirate. And you get to talk to everybody like this yourself. Yeah, something like that.
See Gold Award winning Dan.
Hello YouTube channel. And
Do you-
all the people that watch.
Do you want to tell us what's new in your store?
I've got my brand new autumn specials, cauldron plants for Halloween. It's a nice winter planting and a little witch, and that's in a nice cauldron, which would look really nice outside your front door or on a table, something like that. And I've got some really nice autumn planters, which will last all the way through until next year, give you lots of colour, frost hardy, just need a bit of water, looking after, and they'll be really nice. And I've also got some decorative gourds and mini white pumpkins, which you can dry and keep every year.
Okay.
And that's what I've got this week.
Okay.
Let's go and see the next person.
Hello, I'm Mike Dunn from Bean and Dunn Coffee, and come with me for a demonstration on how to roast coffee in a frying pan at Kendal Farmers Market Food School.
We're going to see Mike do food school.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, sorry a bit delayed with serving customers. Can you please put your hands together because you're going to get Bean and Done by Michael. Thank you. Round of applause for Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello everyone. We're going to today go back to basics and roast a bit of coffee in a frying pan. So this is kind of the traditional method that back in the day that they would have roasted coffee. They wouldn't have had a nice posh induction hob to do it, but we've got one today, a bit safer. So yeah, we'll talk a bit about coffee, where it comes from. You can ask all the silly questions that you have about coffee. And just fire away questions. First of all, does anyone know what where the coffee bean comes from in terms of any ideas?
Do you mean geographically?
Well, in terms of what it is before it's a coffee bean.
A plant.
Plant, yeah. It comes from a coffee tree.
Coffee tree.
And it's from a cherry. So it looks very much like the cherries we eat here, quite similar, a bit more red. And it's actually the seeds of that cherry. So I'll let Marion pass that around. So that's how I receive the coffee beans. Little seeds. So they're a washed coffee from Peru. They don't taste very nice like they are there. They're quite hard. And then when I get those when I'm roasting, so I'll take a few measurements and stuff, so we'll kind of measure the moisture level, the density of it, and all of that kind of information helps me kind of figure out how I'm going to roast it in the roaster. We will crack on and do a bit of roasting. We'll kind of see the process that it kind of goes through while it's in the roaster. Although I do have a little bit less control on the frying pan. And we will, while we're warming up.
Those coffee beans that you've got now, whereabouts in the world do they come from?
These are ones from Peru.
Peru.
So they're one of my old coffee beans that I kind of had a little bit left over.
Right.
So a good one to demonstrate with. So this is kind of what, even with a roaster, we'll preheat the roaster. I preheat my roaster for like 45 minutes before I get going. It's quite a slow process. So we'll kind of let this warm up for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'll tell you a bit about being and done. So it started last year, about this time actually, November time. After I'd come back from a few years away in Australia and New Zealand. Over in New Zealand, I've actually been doing a bit of roasting and running coffee carts around the North Island. Came back with kind of a bit of an ambition to get into coffee over here. Wasn't quite as many jobs. Since I started this, loads of jobs have cropped up, which is a bit annoying. But so I decided to make a bit of a job for myself, wanting to stay around here. Hence being and done started in October, November time last year. And has very much kind of grown quite quickly. We've been doing lots of farmers markets and lots of events this summer. And very much the idea of being done was to have a roastery that was kind of a bit more accessible. People could understand. I feel like coffee sometimes can get quite niche and maybe a bit snobby in areas, and whilst doing great quality coffee, make it a bit more accessible and also have a big impact. So we donate 5% of all our sales throughout the year to Project Waterfall, and they're a clean water charity who put in infrastructure of sanitary systems, clean water in the coffee producing areas. These areas are often really rural, bad infrastructure, and water being such an important thing, something we take for granted so much. It was kind of where we decided to put our money towards in our first year. So we'll be making that donation at the end of this month, actually, to Project Waterfall. And so far, I think they've raised about 1.5 million. They're a pretty recent charity. They won an award for charity work. Right. I think we're going to chuck some beans on. We'll see what happens. So hopefully this is going to just prove to why it's a lot easier to buy beans from someone who's already roasted it, because it's pretty long and arduous on the frying pan. You constantly, like in a roaster, we have a rotating drum in the roaster. It's a stainless steel drum that's rotating quite at high speed really, and it's got fins in the drum as well, so it's chucking the beans about quite a lot to keep them kind of evenly distributed. You don't want an uneven roast, although sometimes it does happen. You get beans stuck in certain parts of the roaster, but you don't want a bean that's quite yellow and unroasted, and then a bean that is dark black and really oily, because you're going to get a really confusing different flavours. So this is it. This is it drying out now. Usually coffee, when we get it, it'll have about 12% moisture in the bean. 12 to 9% really. So it kind of just dries out. Nothing really much happens in this kind of stage. soon it'll start to turn yellow, which is when I'll get some and hand them around. And at that point, the coffee really smells like really bready and wheaty. It's quite a nice smell. But yeah, in the meantime, Mary, I don't know if you wanted to hand out some samples, if that's okay. It's maybe just maybe this one, which is our kind of house go-to roast. It's from Mexico. Get this coffee from an importer called Raw Material. So Raw Material are a non-for-profit community company. They invest a lot of all their profits into the producing communities. So that includes providing solar panels for processing hubs, there'll be training, quality control, so they can get a higher price for the coffee. The producers can get a higher price for the coffee. So they're a really cool kind of company to work with. So I've got 2 coffees from them at the moment. I've worked with them for the past year as well. To again try and have that like high impact in the coffee. I don't just want to make as much of an impact in that kind of purchase as you can. And that's kind of what specialty coffee is about. I think part of this chance to talk to you all is like specialty coffee, wherever you may buy it from. You've got loads of roasters in Kendal. It's probably the most coffee roasters per square mile, I reckon. And yeah, specialty is just kind of a real good nod to well-sourced, kind of they pay fair prices, and cared for kind of coffee versus stuff you may get elsewhere that's a bit cheaper. I think when you kind of get cheaper, there is milk as well if anyone would like milk with it.
Oh yeah, never thought about that.
No, I don't know. Yeah, well.
Do you want milk?
Crank up the heat on this. So yeah, always kind of, I think if you want to make a good purchase with your coffee, always kind of search out specialty, whichever roaster it is. They're always going to be kind of, going to be a good purchase. And it's, especially coffee now, and where coffee comes from, an incredible amount of coffee comes from smallholder farms. I think it's 60%. I think of global production comes from smallholder farms, and these smallholders aren't, maybe the smallholders we think of here. They have like 1 or 2 hectares, which is, it's more of an allotment really. An incredible amount of these growers live under the poverty line. I think 44%. Not better. Live in poverty. So that's why it is important to kind of buy the good stuff. More money is going back to those farmers, and we hopefully try and keep coffee. Has anyone heard much recently about kind of coffee price, the climate change's impact to coffee? No. So obviously where coffee grows is generally in the hotter regions. It's in kind of that equator belt. And a lot of these countries now, the past 5 years have seen massive changes to the seasons. So coffee is really dependent on the seasons, and like rain at the right times and stuff to flower and cherry at the right times. And they're now seeing kind of this change a little bit, which is making harvest very unpredictable. And of late there has been stuff in the news saying coffee prices are rising, and that's because Brazil, due to climate change, has had a really poor harvest. So the coffee prices are going up because there's less supply. Not only that, the farmers also see a big problem is landslides in these areas. The soil's quite dirty on mountainsides. Some of the coffees grow. I think this Getgan is grown at 2,000 meters elevation. So generally you get better coffees from that kind of height, but you see struggles with landslides and stuff like that, which is really hard for them. Yeah, that one is called Knee Bother. It's kind of an easy-going, slippery, kind of easy-drinking coffee. It's from Mexico, a farmer called Miguel Aureliano. Is that right? Yeah. So yeah, we got this. This one's from Raw Material. We've had that coffee for about 6 months now, and it's been a popular. Yeah, good drinking black. It's kind of your everyday cafetiere, not too bitter. What's that spoon gone? It's starting to brown off a bit now. Not quite there yet. That's kind of what you have to, smelling and sensory aspect of coffee is not just in the drinking but in the roasting. You constantly have to be smelling and kind of checking that it's quality control. Can you smell it, yeah? The kind of breadiness. Yeah. It's getting kind of bready now. Like that.
Do you add anything else to the pan, like you roasted, or just roasted it on its own?
Pardon?
Do you add anything else to your roaster?
No, nothing. No. So yeah, just the beans and let them kind of do the work really. It takes a lot of trial and error. You sometimes you can pass that around if you want and have a whiff. A lot of trial and error when you get your coffees and you sometimes lose a bit. But
This is a different one. Oh, is it?
this is Kendal. It's from Uganda. This one.
It smells nice, doesn't it?
So this one is from Kendal. It's kind of a punchy brew. So this one's from an importer called Falcon Coffee, and they worked with the coffee gardens, which is where we got this from, for about 5 years now, to kind of get the community around the region producing kind of higher quality coffee. So with that, they would kind of give a bit of a guarantee, a price guarantee. Bit of a price guarantee which keeps the growers coming back to the region and keep supplying the coffee gardens. Invest in the infrastructure there, more quality control, so they're getting kind of better quality and a higher price. So yeah, that's what kind of doing quite a lot of work. Well, we're nearly going to be at the stage which is what you call the first crack.
Do you get to smell them beans?
Yeah, I think she did.
She did.
So what's kind of happened now through the roasting, that moisture that I was talking about earlier, if you start here, it's kind of start popping like popcorn. That moisture is kind of going into the bean, into the centre, and kind of when it reaches that middle, it's starting to crack and pop. And at this point, the kind of beans dried out, it's developed. We're now into a part called the developing time. So when the beans, which usually when not in a frying pan, they kind of pop at the same time. When they start popping, at this point you can end the roast anytime. They are kind of drinkable, and this is where you get like a really light roast. Don't get much of it around here. People kind of go a little bit further into this kind of this point. There you go. Yeah, so from this point, when it kind of that first cracking starts and when they kind of all get going, there's one. I kind of decide to stop depending on a percentage really, so it's a development time percentage. I kind of aim somewhere between like 15 and 20%, so it's kind of around 1 minute 30 seconds to about 2 minutes for all my different coffees. So the darker ones we roast for a little bit longer, and that's where you get your kind of more caramelized kind of flavors coming through. And then the lighter ones I stop a bit sooner, and just to preserve a bit of the acidity in the coffee and get more of a fruity kind of flavor in it. And that's kind of the basics really, and other parts of you can kind of play a lot with like the speed of the roast. If you want a bit more of a juicy, fruitier coffee, you can go roast a bit faster and hit it with a bit more heat at the start. And if you want a coffee for espresso, you want a bit more solubility in the coffee, you can kind of roast it a little bit longer and maybe don't hit it with as much heat. So right now we're kind of getting close to them. Some of them have popped, and you might see a bit like a chaff skin. You're welcome to come up and have a look if you want. There's a bit of a chaff skin that comes off. So this is what we compost. It's great compost. Can you hear that kind of popping now? It's starting.
Yeah.
and some of them will start to.
Can you get like quite a few different styles of coffee from one?
I mean, yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean, it's got like underlying flavours in the coffee. But yeah, if I wanted it to be stronger and punchier, I'd roast it for longer. Or if I think the coffee at its best is a little bit more acidic and has a bit more fruitiness to it, then I'd kind of cut it off a bit earlier. But then, you know, it's kind of all. There we go. They're kind of going now. All up to kind of individual's preference, really. I prefer quite a acidic coffee. I know quite a lot of people don't really like acidity in coffee, and it's quite a tricky one to judge, really. So, which is why we have a bit of a selection of different coffees. But yeah, I don't know. We'll be nearly finished soon. Has anyone got any questions at all about coffee? Any silly questions? It can be anything. Any particular?
Is coffee grown in Europe at all?
No. So it's just kind of, I can't remember what degrees from the equator, but it's mainly East Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, so in Yemen, Australia now, in the northern parts of Australia, and then quite more famously like Latin America. And you get like different flavour profiles from those different regions. So South America, you kind of see that chocolatey caramel flavours, and it's usually a washed coffee. And by washed is the processing method. So when they harvest the beans, they wash them with a load of water and wash the mucilage off the cherry, and then that's where you get the seeds, and then they'll dry them.
This is a different one.
It gets kind of a good espresso coffee, but it involves quite a lot of water, which is maybe why you don't see it as much in African kind of countries. They're more like a natural coffee, which does use a lot less water. What I'll do. You can hand that around if you want. This is a kind of pretty roasted. Now they are a bit uneven. That is the frying pan. Not all my coffee comes out like that.
So what's the difference in your coffees?
Different regions. We come from different places. Our roast. So I've got one from Uganda, one from Burundi, one from Mexico, two from Mexico. The decaf from Mexico as well. And yeah, roast them in different ways, different styles, different lengths of time to try and cover different. So decaf, I get them decaffeinated. It's a processing method. So the decaf I have, they kind of soak them in fresh mountain water, and that kind of expands that cellulose of the bean, of the seed. And then when they're kind of in the water for so long, they kind of extract the caffeine when the cellulose is expanded. And they actually come like a different colour. See how these are like quite green? They come quite brown, which I think is just the time in the water. But decaf is a hot commodity at the moment. It's very hard to get hold of. There's only a few places that can process it. And yeah, you kind of, there's not much on the market to buy as a roaster. It's very hard. Yeah, it is expensive. But yeah, in terms of what I buy, it is the most expensive coffee, and that is just supply and demand rather than kind of anything else. So yeah. Any other questions at all? Yes, yeah. No. It's I mean, it has got more expensive. Mainly because of climate change, has resulted in Brazil, which is the biggest producer by far, followed by Vietnam, has had a bad harvest, a lack of rainfall at the right times, which has just again led to smaller supply. It's a lot more expensive.
That's the same problem with chocolate producers, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of coming from that similar region. Yeah. So this is just the cool thing. What I actually have at the roastery is a little bin that kind of the coffee comes out in, and it sucks the cold air through, so you don't have to use your hands. I have fins that cool it down. You do want your coffee kind of cooled down in less than 5 minutes. This will take a lot longer because I don't have a fan. So yeah, and then that's kind of the process, so that you can kind of Then if you want to hand that round, I'll show people.
When you look,
Yeah, they are hot, so please.
when you look back on the coffee industry like 40 years ago, you all remember sort of gold blend.
That looks
and
like
stuff
coffee
that.
beans,
Now,
doesn't it?
we're looking at Costa Coffee and we're looking at Nero's and you look at this totally upmarket, isn't it? It's very posh to have ground coffee. It's even posher to have your own grinder. So, you know, do you recommend that they buy beans from your ground?
Yeah, always beans. Beans will stay fresher for longer. When you grind fresh, you'll get more flavour. And it saves me having to grind it. Yeah, always beans. But yeah, we do it ground. Yeah. Yeah. Is it blade? Has it blades? Blades? Yeah. So blades are quite hard because they kind of cut it into different pieces. There's kind of no consistency. Whereas what is recommended is burrs, and then you can alter the size of it. So yeah, yeah. Well, I imagine at some point, yeah, it kind of doesn't have enough to cut. I would say the blade, so it kind of doesn't really do anything. But yeah.
So I always use a stove top.
Yeah.
So is it better to have it quite fine for that?
Yeah. But, I think finer. You don't want it too fine for that, but a finer one kind of suits. I think stovetop, you're trying to get probably a stronger coffee. You probably quite like a stronger coffee, a bit more closer to an espresso style. So with a finer grind, you're going to get more of those stronger flavours. Generally, kind of in terms of grinding, like the science behind it is, the smaller those granules are of coffee, the longer, the more surface area the water's got to get the coffee kind of aromatics and flavour from. So the more surface area, the kind of more of those, and then the stronger kind of flavour.
And what's your opinion of these pods? Are they any good? Are they genuine, or is it just something, another gimmick?
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot of waste. I think if you're going to go pods, you can get reusable pods and put your own coffee in it, which I would recommend. You might not quite get the same effect as like because obviously it's not sealed like those pods, so you might not get quite like the crema, but I definitely recommend trying to reduce waste, get refillable ones.
So the question we're going to ask you, where can we find you when you're not on Kendal Farmers Market on the second Friday and the last Friday of the month? Where are you to be found? Grinding and roasting?
Grinding and roasting, yeah. I mean, my roastery is on a farm in a little village, and I'm not always there, so don't try and come find me. You might be disappointed. But we're selling quite a few shops in kind of a bit more north here, like Appleby and Penrith, in tea-based services and Westmoreland as well. And then we have kind of got a big rebrand coming at the end of this month, and after that we're going to be pushing out to some more retail spaces. So hopefully you'll see us about a lot more on the shelf.
What's the hardest thing in your expansion? I mean, how far is your horizon? Are you going to be sort of Illy?
No, hopefully not.
Lavazza?
Yeah. I mean, it comes with the infrastructure you have, really. I've got a 5 kilo roaster. In that, I kind of roast between 2.5 to 3.5 kilos at a time. What you actually do lose is actually weight when you roast coffee, that moisture leaves. So it's generally just a kind of a matter of man hours to be able to do stuff before you need to start going bigger and bigger spaces and bigger roasters. If you ever get the chance, you should go to some of your Kendal roasters have much bigger roasters, kind of 35 kilo roasters and absolute monsters of machines. Definitely worth going to see.
You joined us early this year, and we've given you a bit of seating on the second Friday, so people can sit down and dwell. And is that sort of working a bit, or we just need to encourage them?
Yeah, I think it's good for people to be able to kind of slow down, enjoy a coffee. I think what I'm trying to achieve with the coffee I produce is to be a bit more of a treat. So we use he's not here today, Chris from Trapeno. We use pasteurised milk. Makes it a delicious cup of coffee. Really adds to the coffee. I mean, it's not just about coffee. It's most of the cup is probably milk by weight. So yeah, and allow people to stop and enjoy it a bit more.
And being a farmer, and I had to go back to my stall to serve it. How important is the milk?
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively. I mean, the other parts I've talked about in terms of the donated to charity, where we source from, it goes to the milk as well, not just the coffee, and absolutely elevates the cup and makes it special. And if you're going to be, prices are rising, you often now see £4 cup of coffee on the street, on the high street, and it should be a treat and should be enjoyed. And I think milk is a big part of that as well.
Anything else that you need to learn from Michael before we wrap him up? There's a lady there.
Yeah. Always loved and drank a lot of coffee, and then I used to work in London for a food and beverage company where I had a dairy alternative milk, which was part of the range, and with that went to London Coffee Festival, which kind of opened my eyes to quite a vast world. You don't really know how kind of big and crazy it is until you're in it. And then was over in Australia and New Zealand, which they're mad on their coffee. And then eventually got a job roasting and running coffee carts around Auckland and the North Island of New Zealand, which is probably a similar business I've just kind of copied and brought back here. So at the moment we've got some from Burundi, which is called our Now Then. It's a bit of a fruitier one, a bit of a jazzier one. We've got some from Uganda. This is kind of our espresso one, quite a new espresso one. Previously we've had ones from Brazil and Peru.
Just asking again, he said where can he buy it? T-Bay Farm Shop.
T-Bay Farm Shop here, yeah, in Penrith, Graham's. Must have sold out. Appleby, Stevenson's. Yeah, just down there when I'm back.
That's the overalls.
And then some more from Mexico here too. Nibon is kind of our smooth drinking one, easy black, and then our decaf is also from Mexico. We've had one from Rwanda, and we've just come back to one from Mexico. By popular opinion, one customer told me it tastes like sticky toffee. So very happy to have it back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got the feeling that you've been done, or been undone. That's more like it. Big round of applause for Michael. Thank you very much for your time, Michael. Well done.
Thank you. We're back. What do you think of that?
It was very, very good.
Well, glad to hear it.